So on Saturday, I got run through by 101 guys. Now, I've had a lot of backlash so far about it, and I've seen some of the videos and I see your side. Like, I am not trying to encourage other girls to be doing that, like if they don't want to and feel like they have to do that.
Honestly, it's not every day you get to see something like this. Once in a while, you get to see a piece of news that blows your freaking mind off. So we're talking about a woman who slept with over 100 men in 24 hours. I mean, 24 hours. Cried about it and then decided, you know what, next time, let's aim for 1,000. I mean, in which world does that happen?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Is this ambition or just a plotline of a really awkward Netflix documentary waiting to happen? So basically, we're talking about Lily Phillips, a British OnlyFans model who took exploring your options to a level that makes most reality TV show look tame. She didn't just date around or swipe right 100 times like normal people do. No, she physically slept with 101 men in one day. I mean, one freaking day. So how did this all begin? Well, Lily started her career innocently enough as a bikini model on Instagram, then pivoted to OnlyFans during the pandemic. Well, fair enough. Lots of people actually did. Bills gotta be paid, right? And let's be real, the government stimulus wasn't cutting it. But apparently, somewhere along the line, she decided that breaking personal boundaries wasn't enough. Nah, she wanted to break the Guinness World Record. She was aiming for the highest of the high. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would someone actually do this? Well, according to her, she was sick of giving sex away for free. Yes, and that is her exact quote.
Free, like I was already being such a slut for free, so I was like, I may as well get paid for it. But I had a boyfriend at the time, and then he was like, I did ask him, I said, what would you do if I did OnlyFans? He was like, no.
So naturally, the solution wasn't a TED Talk on self-worth or a LinkedIn article. No, it was a logistical nightmare involving 101 freaking men, a stopwatch, and I assume an industrial-sized bottle of sanitizer to clean up after a night of banging and hanging. Well, let's put things into perspective here. This is like running back-to-back marathons, except the finish line is a bed and not a medal. The standard required here is Olympic level, but instead of endorsements from Nike, well, she's being sponsored by OnlyFans subscriptions. One might say this is more ambitious than you can actually think of. It's given unhinged, and not in the fun, oh, I dye my hair every month kind of way. Nah, more like, let's turn my body into a reality show experiment for clout. And just when you thought this couldn't get any more ridiculous, Lily has announced her next goal, which is sleeping with 1,000 men in 24 hours. I mean, a freaking 1,000 men. That's more men than an average small town high school graduating class. This is the kind of ambition that makes Elon Musk building a spaceship to Mars look humble, for reals. I mean, at least he's aiming for a planet. Well, what about Lily? Well, she's aiming for a medical intervention here. And just as men suspect, her 101-man feat came with some damning consequences. She broke down crying afterwards, which honestly is probably the most relatable thing she has done in this entire saga. The emotional and physical toll was all too real. Shocking, I know. And then there's the whole societal fallout. She's been hit with death threats and angry messages from girlfriends. Imagine being guy number 68 in this lineup and your girlfriend finds out through the tabloids. I mean, what do you even say to that? Do you tell a girlfriend like, oh babe, I was just trying to set a personal best, or what? But Lily doesn't care about the haters. She calls her work empowering. I mean, empowering who though? The men? The orthopedic mattress industry? Like, what exactly is she empowering here? Frankly speaking, here's the sad reality. This isn't just about Lily, it's about a world we've built around internet fame. She's not the first person to do something outrageous for clicks, and she definitely won't be the last. Do you guys remember when Logan Paul filmed a literal corpse in Japan's suicide forest? Or when people were eating Tide Pods for TikTok likes? I mean, that was crazy.
A dead body.
No! What?
Dangerous phenomenon on social media known as the Tide Pod Challenge. YouTube says it's taking down clips that show people taking bites of those pods.
We live in a time where the absurdity of our actions directly correlates to your follower count. That is the reality that we live in right now. Now, what does it say about a society when a woman feels like she has to break a record involving 101 men to stand out in a sea of influencers? We are essentially rewarding chaos with attention, and you all eat it up like it's a limited edition of McFlurry. Crazy. Honestly, let's take a moment to appreciate the logistical nightmare this must have been. Coordinating 101 men in one place is no small feat. I mean, when I heard this, I was asking myself, how would she do this? How did she advertise for it? Craigslist? A group text? Did they even have a group sign-up sheet or what? Were there refreshments? Imagine being the guy stuck in traffic on the way there. Sorry babe, I'm gonna be late for dinner. Imagine number 99. And what about the men? Were they cool with this? Did they have to bring their own snacks or sign a waiver? Like, so many questions to ask here. I mean, Lily is also aiming to break Lisa Sparks' record of 919 men in one day. Fun fact, Lisa did this in 2004, a simpler time when the world was busy arguing about flip phones and MySpace layouts. But Lily's 1,000 men goal, now that's a whole big dream, man.
Are you still planning to do what I've called the 1,000 man challenge?
The man challenge, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, so my assistant's currently going through the 5,000 applications we have. It will take place in England.
Yeah.
They'll be getting, honestly, as quick as possible in, out.
And of course, it might end up being a reality. That's just a lot. And at this rate, she's going to need a hydration coach and a team of chiropractors. For real. And underneath the whole absurdity and raw action, there's a weird sad undertone to this whole story. What drives someone to actually do this? Is it really about empowerment? Or is it about filling some void with attention, fame, or money? Because, let's be real, no one actually just wakes up and thinks, you know what will fix my life? 1,000 one-night stands in one freaking day. Let's take a look at it from a broader perspective. Lily's story is a symptom of a larger issue. The increasingly blurred line between empowerment and exploitation. Some argue that Lily's actions are a bold statement of ownership over her own body. In a world where women are constantly policed for their own choices, Lily's decision to monetize and publicize her sexuality could be seen as a radical act of rebellion. Do you guys agree? But is it really empowerment if the driving force is clout? This isn't like Simone Biles owning her own mental health by stepping away from the Olympics. No, this feels more like the same social pressure to perform, just in a whole different arena. And let's not ignore the whole gender dynamics here. Imagine if a man attempted the same stunt. Society would have likely labeled him a predator, right? Rather than an empowered individual. Case in point, remember the backlash that happened against Nick Cannon for fathering 12 kids with 6 different women. He wasn't celebrated for his virility. He was roasted on social media like a Thanksgiving turkey. That was brutal. And of course, some psychologists have pointed out that there's a dangerous toll of seeking validation through extreme stunts. For example, Dr. Jen Twinge, author of IGN, explains that the rise of social media has created a generation obsessed with external validation. In her own words, she said, "We've conditioned ourselves to believe that likes, followers, and attention equate to self-worth." Crazy, right? Now, Lily's breakdown after her 101-man challenge highlights this. No matter how much she spins it as empowering, the emotional and physical exhaustion she's experienced tells another story. And now she's planning to repeat the same experience all over again. This time on an even grander scale. That's not empowerment, that's a dopamine action and addiction masquerading as ambition. Morally, the story sparks heated debates. While some claim she's simply exercising her own autonomy and all that, others see it as a dangerous precedent. If the next generation of influencers takes this as inspiration, what's the logical conclusion to the whole thing? A reality show called Who Slept with the Most People This Week? Is that the next thing we're going on to right now? Oddly enough, she has a huge supporter fan base, and those who are supporting her have hailed her as a feminist icon. They argue that her actions challenge the societal norms and double standards around female sexuality. Now, comments like, she's living the truth, and things like, let her do what makes her happy, have flooded the social media. Even Cardi B weighed in on the whole broader conversation about women monetizing their sexuality. During an Instagram live, she said, if you're not hurting anybody and you're making money, who freaking cares? Well, Cardi herself is no stranger to controversy, having turned her stripper past into a multi-million-dollar career. And certainly, just as she has supporters, so also does she have people that are definitely against her actions. Public figures like Piers Morgan have called Lily's actions a new low for the society. Like, Twitter users have likened her to a human assembly line and questioned her mental health. And then there are memes. I mean, the memes are crazy. One viral post showed a photo of her bed with the caption, Lily Phillips mattress 2024, rest in peace. That is brutal as you can actually think of. Another showed a stopwatch with the phrase, 14 minutes per guy. Usain Bolt would be proud. These guys on Twitter, they are not letting things slide. Interestingly enough, there's also a quieter, more reflective corner of the internet that sees Lily's story as a mirror to society's obsession with virality. One Reddit user commented, she's not the problem, we are. If this didn't get any clicks, no one would actually do it. Now, this sentiment echoes the reaction to other controversial stunts. Do you guys remember when David Dobrik was called out for dangerous pranks in his vlogs? Or when TikTokers filmed themselves coughing on people during the pandemic? The outrage was directed at them, but the root issue was the audience that rewarded their behavior, bad behavior, with views and likes. I think it all boils down to this. Lily Phillips is not just a person, she's a phenomenon, a reflection of our collective obsession with spectacle. Her story forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about what we value, what we reward, and what it means to live authentically in an age of algorithms. But let me ask you this. If attention is the currency of our time and everyone's out here hustling for it, where do we draw the line between empowerment and exploitation? And more importantly, are we all just enablers clicking, sharing, and commenting our way into a future where stunts like Lily's become actually the norm? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to know. Are we watching history being made, or are we just witnessing a train wreck we can't look away from? Cheers.